Hi, I'm Alicia and welcome to my channel Papercraft Secrets. On Saturday the 12th of June, I had the opportunity to create with some lovely crafting ladies at a play day with Mintay papers. This play day took place at a Place to Create, which is a scrapbooking store in Arana Hills in Brisbane, Australia. Together we created two layouts. This is the second double layout that we created using Mintay's Next Trip collection. The ladies and I had a lovely time creating this layout, and for those who did not get this completely finished, I have added this video to my channel so that they may finish this layout in the comfort of their own home. If you are watching from home and you didn't attend the play day with Mintay papers at a Place to Create, you can contact the store and ask them to send you out a kit, and then you can create the layout along with me on the YouTube video. So let's get started on what we need for the layout. It's a double layout, so we're going to be needing two of the number 2 papers, which is from the Next Trip collection. So this is what they look like on one side, and on the reverse is the cloud paper. So we're going to start by just trimming off our barcodes for these papers, and these will become the base for our double layout. Pretty blue sky papers. The next papers that we need is the number 1 page and the number 3 page. We're going to fussy cut out this part of the number 1 page, not including that love heart. And we're also going to fussy cut out this section here, and we did include that love heart on this side. So there's our 2 pieces that are fussy cut out already. I didn't do it on camera because it takes quite a bit of time. We're going to take this ticket page and we're going to cut 2 rows of the tickets, and this will be for the top of our layout. We will be gluing our tickets strips onto the top of the layout, and we're using the ticket edge colourful stub end at the top of each page. Okay, that's looking really good now. We've got those tickets across the top of both of our pages, and we've got the blue sky paper below. Now I'm just using white cardstock for my photographs for the purpose of this layout. You will need 2 landscape 6x4 photographs and 2 portrait 3x4 photographs for this layout. If you don't have photographs ready, then just use white cardstock like I'm going to use until you decide on what photos that you would like in the layout. So that is 2 6x4 photos and 2 3x4 photos. Now for our photo mats, we are going to use the back of the number 2 and the back of the number 3 papers that we previously fussy cut from. So this is our scraps. Okay, so we cut those 2 fussy cutting clusters from these papers, and we're going to now use the reverse of those to mount our photographs onto. We're cutting these to 6 1/4 by 4 1/4 and 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. So it's basically just fitting what you can on out of your scraps. It doesn't matter what colors you've got underneath your photos because you're not going to see whether it's like a little bit of pink or a little bit of beige. Both of them will match in, not a problem. And we will use some recycled cardboard to mount our photos on so that they've just got that little bit of elevation from the rest of the layout. So here I am gluing on one of the 6x4 photos onto the recycled cardboard, and then I'm gluing that onto the photo mat, which is measuring 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. So we will have a nice little edge around our photo. So here we go, it's a little bit more cardboard, and then our photo on top, our 6x4 photo. So there's our two 6x4 photos. They're in the landscape position. And now we're going to work with our little 3x4 photos, and they're going to go on our 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 photo mats. So you will have a little bit extra, so you shouldn't have any trouble cutting those photo mats from the scraps of those pages. Now we'll just grab a little bit of cardboard, pop that in there, and put our 3x4 photograph on top of that. Little bit of cardboard on this side, and then our photo on the top. And that is our 4 photographs on their photo mats ready to go in our layout. So well done. We've got the bones of the layout sorted now. Alright, we are moving on now. Here we have our 2 fussy cut little bits that we cut out previously. These are going to be the main layers of our layout. We're also going to use some lace and some ribbon from our kit. Inside the kits there's lots of gorgeous different laces, and there's lots of gorgeous silk ribbons. So for this layout we're going to use this beige ribbon. It's going to go across there, and we're going to have this lovely lace as well. So we'll just move our photos out of the way for a minute. We're going to put this on the gap. So we have the gap between our tickets and the lovely blue sky paper. And along that gap is where we're going to paste our ribbon and our lace. And we're going to have the same on the other side. We'll have some lace and we'll have some ribbon. So you just need to measure the width of your layout, which will be 12 inches. So you'll need a 12-inch piece of lace on one side and a 12-inch piece of ribbon, a 12-inch piece of lace on the other side, and a 12-inch piece of ribbon. And we will glue those down with liquid glue. First we'll put the ribbon just joining where the ticket ends, and then we will put our lace along the bottom of the ribbon. So that's very simple. And this is going to add some beautiful shabby chicness to our layout, some lovely layers, and some texture and interest to our layouts. Just cutting that other piece of ribbon there. I'm just going to do a line of glue underneath the tickets and spread that ribbon along there and pat it down. And then I'll do another line of glue for the lace. And pop the lace underneath there. Beautiful. That's a beautiful lace and a beautiful ribbon, and all of the ribbons and all of the laces in this kit came from A Place to Create. They have a wonderful variety of ribbons and laces for all of your scrapbooking and card making projects. So now our photos are going to be sitting on top of that lace and the ribbon. Now we've got our fussy cutting. This is going to go underneath the lace. We will have to cut this piece because we want it to be symmetrical. It's going to overlap onto the other side of the paper because I want it to be a triangle, and I want the tip of the triangle to be directly in the middle of the layout. Now the fussy cutting pieces didn't work out so that they were right in the middle of the layout. So we're going to cut that later. But we're not going to stress about it just yet. So we are going to glue this down. This is one piece on our left-hand page, and it can be glued pretty much right up to the join of the 12 by 12 paper because it's where it needs to be. The piece on the right-hand side has to overlap a little bit because where the rose comes right down and where the leaf is, I want that to be exactly in the center of the join between the two scrapbook pages. So it's going to overlap. You can see how it's half covering up the other page. We'll cut it later. We're not going to worry about cutting it just yet, but we will glue it down so we know where it's going to be. That's it. So we're going to glue that down. I didn't put glue on the side where it's going to overlap because obviously I don't want that to glue onto my other page just yet because I want to be able to cut it. Now I did try cutting it earlier with my paper trimmer, but it was really hard to get it in the right spot. So I think this is the best way to get it cut right exactly where we want it in the center. Now when we put our photos back on at the top, you'll see how those paper layers join down into a triangle V at the bottom, and they're exactly where they need to be, symmetrical. Alright, so I'm happy now with where everything is placed so far. I'm ready to glue down my photographs. So I'm just going to put some glue around the edges and through the middle of my photos, and I'm going to glue these directly over the top of my lace and my ribbon. And then I will glue my next one down. This is my little 3x4 photograph. Now you can see how there's not a lot of space in between the edge of my paper and my photograph, and then the next photograph, and then the edge of the paper. So you can position your photos how you feel best along that ribbon line, spacing them out as you see it best to be spaced out. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start building up our floral cluster. We're going to use some cheesecloth and some ribbon. We're going to have a piece of ribbon on both sides, one in blue, one in beige, and a piece of cheesecloth on both sides. We have a fussy cut floral cluster and a prima flower for each side as well. So when you're cutting your cheesecloth, cut yourself a fairly decent sized piece. This is quite a big floral cluster. And another piece on that side. So I've got the 2 pieces of cheesecloth, the 2 ribbons, the 2 fussy cut floral clusters, and the 2 prima flowers. Okay, so we're going to do identical clusters on each side. We are also adding in some of the green Tara twine bows. This is a gorgeous, very soft twine. We are also adding in a little bit of lace to each of our clusters. We'll glue them all down in a minute. I'm just sort of getting everything ready first. Now the 2 floral clusters came from this page, in case you're wondering where those ones came from. I'm going to start to glue them down now. So I'm using a little bit of cardboard and I'm going to glue that onto the cardboard. Then I'm going to layer the cheesecloth on top of the fussy cut floral cluster. Then I'm layering down the beige coloured bow and the blue coloured bow, the green Tara twine ribbon, the lace, and the flower. Just pulling that cheesecloth down a little bit. Let's move on to the other side now and work on this floral cluster. So first of all, just a little piece of cardboard. Just a little bit there. Next, our floral cluster, fussy cut image. Next, our cheesecloth, our blue bow, our beige bow, our twine, a little bit of lace hanging down, and pop the twine back on. Then our flower. Okay, that's looking really, really pretty. It's very soft and delicate, lots of layers and lots of texture. What we're going to do now is we're going to trim our layout a little bit. So we've got this excess ribbon here and an excess lace that just needs to be trimmed off. A little bit there and a little bit there. Let's get rid of that little bits. Alright, now here's the part where we're going to cut that extra overlap off. So just follow the line of the 12 by 12 paper, and that extra little bit that you cut off we're going to glue back onto the other side of the paper so that we have that beautiful symmetrical design. We will just use some glue to glue that down onto the other side of the page so that this layout can then be placed in an album in 2 different page protectors, and it will be perfectly symmetrical. Now we've also got these little compasses that I thought might be nice to include in the layout to just sort of add in that traveling touch. Just going to cut that in half. Going to slide that in underneath each photo there. And I'll mount that on a little bit of scrap chipboard to just give it a little bit more height and dimension. And that will separate it from the base layer of the layout. I'll just put a little bit of glue on the back of that. And slide that under. Just like that. And a little bit of chipboard again. And we'll slide that under on this side. That's looking beautiful. Now I've decided to add another Prima flower to both sides of the layout as well, just to add to that floral cluster. This was a bit of fussy cutting rose that I wanted to add just on the other side of the floral cluster. So I'm just using a little bit of recycled chipboard or scrap chipboard. You can use recycled cardboard. And I'm just placing it on the other side of the floral cluster, and you can't quite see it on that side, but you get a better view on this side. So just moving it under there. That just continues the line of layering underneath that 3x4 photograph. Now we're going to do a little bit more decoration in the middle, and then the layout is pretty much finished. So I'm going to use some of these flowers that we've fussy cut from the other sheet. This is kind of optional. You could just leave the layout as it is right now, but I thought that it might be nice to just build this middle bit up a little bit more. So that piece there is going to fit in well. See how that goes in well there? And it's going to add a little bit more of a layered look and also the floral cluster look to just sort of soften it, because we've got the travel sort of theme happening, but we've also got this soft rose theme happening in this collection. So it's nice to bring them both together. We're going to use more some more cheesecloth under there as well, because cheesecloth breaks up the paper layers. So just a little bit of chipboard to add elevation. So we'll glue down our cheesecloth first so that it's in its spot ready to go. And then we'll add in our chipboard Little piece there, a little piece there. Put a little bit of glue on top of that. Slide in our roses. Now you'll notice that we've joined the page again now, but that's okay. We'll cut that down once we're happy with our position. I'm just going to glue the leaf down with a little bit of tiny chipboard because it's a little bit delicate, that leaf. Looks like it could just fall off if I'm not careful with it. Right, now take your scissors and just trim up the center of the roses. That's it. And we'll have to also trim the cheesecloth. Perfect. Just looking for something to put in the middle here. I've tried a few different options. You might like one of those options that I've already tried that you might like to do yourself. I'm thinking about a little piece of lace here. I'm going to use this little bit from the kit. Just a little bit of glue underneath the photograph and just layering that in there, in between the roses and the compass. A little bit of glue in there. Pop that little bit of lace up in there. That looks pretty. Very pretty. For my last little piece to this layout, it's this bit here that I fussy cut from the number 6 paper. It's got the headphones and the little travel book. I'm putting some cheesecloth underneath it to separate the layers. I'm actually going to cut this directly in half and then I will stick that back together. I'll use a little bit of chipboard to add some dimension. Glue down my cheesecloth. And then I will paste on that fussy cut image, and that's just going to finish off the join there. Just make sure that that's all lined up perfectly, and there we go. That's our layout completed. Thank you for joining me for this class. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you get in touch with the place to create. I'll put the details in the description box below if you'd like to order your kit. I'd love to hear what you think about the next trip collection by Mintay. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching and have a lovely crafty day.